Now reports passengers in the ill-fated bus say that the driver was speeding and ignored calls from passengers to slow down.
At the Ahera police station, the wreckage of the bus involved in the early morning accident was towed in. The shattered glasses and belongings sprawled across the floor, telling of the horror that visited passengers of this bus that had left Kampala destined to Nairobi. According to survivors, the driver of the bus ignored calls to clamp back on the speed.
Tulicheleweshwa pale kwenye mpaka leo tunaomba kukaguliwa. Kwa hiyo alipotoka hapo kama alikuwa analipia ule muda uliopotea pale mpakani. Tembea kwa kasi sana hivyo overtake. Hiyo ni vurugu hivyo tumegongana hilo gari la mchele watu wamerukaruka hivyo.
If it was not fast, we would have controlled the incident. But he was moving fast. That's why he lost the control. Fortunately for me, I have been on this right hand driver side. It has been okay somehow, but the other side, left hand, finished.
According to Nyanza Regional Traffic Enforcer Alan Mwangi, the bus was trying to overtake another vehicle before ramming a lorry that was heading to Kisumu. 11 people died on the spot, while 39 others sustained injuries. Some of the injured were referred to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital for further treatment.
Out of the 17, some have minor injuries. We have seen 3 who has severe injuries, and they all have head injury.
The bodies of the 11 who perished have since been moved to the Ahera County morgue. And as survivors continue recuperating across various hospitals within Kisumu County, a clarion call has been made to drivers to be more observant of traffic regulations in order to avert loss of life. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV, Kisumu.
Let's talk about health matters. 4.3 billion shillings allocated to the Edu Afya medical scheme cannot be accounted for. Health Cabinet Secretary Suzanne Nakumicha has cited fraud as one of the reasons the Edu Afya medical scheme has been phased out to be replaced by the Social Health Insurance Act once it becomes operational. Speaking in Taita Taveta, the CS said learners will now be covered alongside their households under the Primary Healthcare Fund.
The NHIF is set to be replaced by 3 health funds upon the implementation of the Social Health Insurance Act of 2023. These are the Primary Healthcare Fund, the Social Health Insurance Fund, and the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. This after allegations by the government that there are deep-rooted cartels that have been looting the Ministry of Health and engaging in fraud. Speaking in Taita Taveta County, Health CS Susan Nakumicha said her ministry would flush out existing cartels at the NHIF.
Sasa hiyo ndoo ambaye imetoboka inaitwa NHIF nimetupilia mbali. Nimenunua ndoo mpya inaitwa Social Health Authority. Kwa sababu katika hii serikali ya Rais wetu William Samoei Ruto alisema NHIF atapunguza kutoka 500 hadi 300. Hiyo ni kitu nzuri ama kitu mbaya? Si ni nzuri sana.
The CS says Kenyans earning lower incomes would start paying 300 shillings to the National Health Insurance Fund, down from the current 500 shillings.
Hali kuna watu wameketi hapa watu wengi hata 300 hiyo ni shida kupata.
The government has terminated the comprehensive medical insurance of secondary school students Edu Afya, which has been in use for the last 4 years.
Edu Afya mwaka uliopita na ule mwingine serikali ya Kenya iliweka 4.3 billion kuhudumia wanafunzi. Cha kushangaza ni kwamba hizo pesa zote zinasemekana zilitumika kwa sababu ya wanafunzi. Sijui kama hapa Taita Taveta wanafunzi walitumia bilioni 4, walitumia kweli? Si ni ukora? Na katika hiyo pesa ya Edu Afya ilikuwa inashughulikia mwanafunzi peke yake. Sasa wewe mwanafunzi uko na bima, lakini ukisikia mzazi wako nyumbani amegonjeka, unashikwa na wasiwasi kwa sababu yeye hana nini? Hana bima. So katika hizi sheria mpya tumeondoa Edu Afya na tumeleta bima ambayo inashughulikia baba, inashughulikia mama na inashughulikia mwanafunzi.
Under the new regulations, a household whose income is derived from salaried employment shall pay a monthly statutory deduction contribution to the Social Health Insurance Fund at a rate of 2.75% of the gross salary or wage of the household.
Na hata nikiangalia tents vile zimepangwa, mingi ni ya wale ambao mapato yao yako chini, sivyo? Wako hapa mbele, unaona tent ni moja. Nyinyi tent yenu haijawekwa vitambaa, yao imewekwa vitambaa. Nyinyi kule mmeketi kwa vumbi, huku kuna carpet. Na ndio kwa maana katika hizi sheria mpya, wale wote ambao wanaketi kwenye carpet watakuwa wanatoa 2.75% ya mshahara yao iwashughulikie nyinyi.
With the cancer burden remaining a major concern in the country, January being Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, the CS said that hospital bills for terminally ill patients would be catered for through the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund under the new health reforms. Lillian Muli, Citizen TV.
Public participation in the controversial Affordable Housing Bill entered its 10th day, with the Law Society of Kenya unmasking flaws in the proposed law that may hinder its implementation. Vincent Ombija, a legislative drafter at LSK, questioned whether the Joint National Assembly Finance and Housing Committees had attempted to address glaring provisions that were declared unconstitutional by the court, saying that the matter of how the tax would be administered needed to be reviewed. Most of those who appeared before the committee also proposed that the 10% advance payment required for one to own a house be reviewed. As Chemutai Goin now reports, groups of persons with disabilities and residents of informal settlements, however, backed the affordable housing plan.
As the public participation exercise on the Affordable Housing Bill enters its penultimate period, members of the public thronged Parliament buildings to give their views to the Joint Committees of Finance and Housing.
They've said they want to be sure that the houses are not being bought by just the mighty and the rich, and that is why the proposal of one KRA pin, one house has come up.
Groups of persons with disabilities were the first to make their submissions. The groups came from parts of Langata, Mathare, Mukuru, among others, and rallied behind the plan, but called for a review of some of the financial obligations.
Ningeomba ya kwamba katika hii deposit 10%, CPWDs tukepewa 3 to 5%. It means that mwenye atakuwa na 3% ni mwenye akona ile nyumba ya rumu moja. 4% mwenye atakuwa na rumu ya rumu mbili. That is na then 5% mwenye atakuwa amefikisha apewe 3 bedroom.
Unajua inauma sana kupata mtu wa slum ni kama amebandikangwa lazima akaange kwa slum milele. And then wakati inafika mahali pa kusaidia mtu wa slum inakuwa ndio kuna kikwazo. Lakini wakati hizi vitu zingine zao zikipitishwa wao wajalingi inakuanga ni sawa. Kwetu ikifika lazima tuandamane.
I stay in Mathare. I cannot have 3 meals in a day. If I take tea, I don't take lunch. Now I'm told to look for 360,000 before I'm allocated. Aren't you driving us away from this project?
Hii pesa wanasanya kwetu ile tunalipa 3,000 kwa mwezi. Kama mtu ako na nyumba 5,000. Wewe unafikiria amepata pesa ngapi? Anaenda kufanya project zake. Sasa ndiye anapinga, anajua hii ikienda through hawatapata hiyo pesa.
The committee learned that there were more legal hurdles yet to be cleared.
The problem is building houses on public land that are going to be owned by someone, because at that point you are disposing public land. The design of the affordable housing, even the cost, does not factor the cost of land. The problem there is, whatever mechanism we use, how do we make sure the value of land, we don't take public money into somebody's pockets unconstitutionally? That is the principle.
The issue of public land is very, very critical. It's very, very critical. Because if this land would have built a primary school and doesn't build a school, it goes to build people's houses, then even what benefit should accrue to the community that have forfeited the need for that public
public utility that would have had to all benefit, as opposed to benefiting only 200 Kenyans.
With the court having declared the financing element of the affordable housing scheme unconstitutional, LSK also sought to know whether the committees had reviewed the discriminatory section of the law that only targeted the salaried population.
Employees are saying, if I am employed, I have no option. It is obligatory because you have mandated my employer to remit my contribution. But if I am self-employed, I choose when, how, and even where to pay.
The Architectural Society also appeared before the committee, proposing a review of the sizes of the houses based on location, as needs differed, and for an inclusion of professional players in the construction industry in yet-to-be-formed Affordable Housing Board.
It is critical to have members of the board who hail from this industry so that they can properly lead the board, because they have a concrete understanding of the nature of the built environment and how to run these projects, including financing of these projects.
The State Department for Housing will appear before the joint committees Wednesday to shed light on emerging concerns over the technicalities surrounding housing projects that were to be funded by the World Bank but were constructed by counties. The public participation exercise continues Tuesday. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV.
The national government and the Council of Governors have failed to agree on how much money will be allocated to counties in the next financial year. A committee has been formed to resolve the impasse in which county governors are demanding 450 billion shillings, while the National Treasury says it can only spare 398 billion shillings. Brenda Wanga has more.
The first intergovernmental budgetary economic meeting of this year, and the two levels of government are at loggerheads over matters money. The county governments want the national government to give them more money for the efficient running of devolved functions.
Kwa hivyo mwaka huu, baada ya kulenga na kuangalia mahitaji ya counties, tumepata kwamba kuna haja ya kuajiri walimu wa shule za chekechea ambazo hiyo huenda ikahitaji kama bilioni 12.9 au kwa pengine tuseme pia kuna matibabu ya hospitali ambayo yataathirika sana, kwa sababu kuna ule mpango ulikuwa wa medical equipment scheme ambao ulikuwa umeanzishwa na serikali kuu ambao utaisha mwezi wa 3 na counties zinatakikana kuendeleza.
The counties say to effectively dispense of these functions, they need an increase in the budgetary allocation this financial year. Last year, the counties were allocated 385.4 billion shillings. This year, they want this figure increased substantially.
Tunapendekeza na tunaitisha na tunasema kama counties bilioni 450 ndizo zinatosha ili tukaweza kuendeleza kazi za county pasipo na shida nyingi.
But after a day-long meeting between the governors and representation from the national executive, both failed to agree on this allocation. Sources say the National Treasury claims to only have 398 billion shillings for the counties this year. And that money, the Deputy President says, will be disbursed aptly.
I wish to emphasize our commitment to the timely disbursement of funds to counties. We are nearly up to the date for December 2023.
The counties are, however, still saddled with pending bills that as at June last year stood at 164.8 billion shillings, the bulk of which at 107 billion shillings was owed by the County of Nairobi, and the national government wants this cleared.
Despite this, I strongly urge you to fast-track payments of pending bills. Indeed, we should not be having pending bills for the last financial year. Prompt payments for goods and services releases funds to our business people and spurs economic growth, especially the hustler nation, for a better and vibrant economy. Let money circulate.
The counties have also asked the national government to relinquish the remaining devolved functions to the counties alongside with the funds that will be needed to perform these additional duties. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Well, the High Court has temporarily barred the current chairman of Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, Hassan Ole Nado, and ousted chairman Yusuf Nzibo from claiming any leadership position at the council until a case filed by Supkem officials is heard and determined. So the court has also ordered the two not to call or convene any meeting in the name of Supkem until the matter is dispensed with. The Registrar of Societies has also been restrained from declaring Nzibo as the current national chairman and banned both parties from discussing the subject matter in the media and on social media. Ole Nado and other Supkem officials moved to court seeking to restrain Yusuf Nzibo from stating that he is the Supkem chairman after the latter sent a letter to the Kenya's Hajj agents where he introduced himself as the national chairman Supkem and announced the change of leadership at Supkem. And away from that, President William Ruto on Monday joined other African leaders at the plenary session of the Italy-Africa Summit in Rome. The president spoke on the need for European nations to embrace partnerships that will increase Africa's renewable energy capacity. President Ruto underscored Kenya's commitment to transitioning to clean energy and challenged the hosts of the meeting to walk the talk and translate the many partnerships into action. Additionally, the president defended the continent's right to exploit untapped natural resources, including fossil fuels. And the two-day conference is aimed at strengthening ties and collaboration between Africa and Italy, while at the same time presenting the country's strategic plan aimed at reviewing its approach to the African continent. Well, back home, police in Kisii have launched a manhunt for a PAG pastor who is on the run for the third day after allegedly defiling a 10-year-old girl before giving the minor 5 shillings to buy her silence. The family of the grade 4 pupil is calling for justice as locals in Kiogora village, Nyaribari Chache, suspended all worship services on Sunday until the pastor is apprehended. Crispin Otieno has more.
Yes, sir. On Monday afternoon, we met Kerubo, not her real name, accompanied by her mother on their way to Kiogoro police station. Kerubo never expected to be here, while the rest of her peers are going on with their studies in various schools. On Saturday morning at around 7:30 a.m., the grade 4 pupil was sent to deliver breakfast to one of the pastors at the Pentecostal Assemblies of God in Amariba village, Nyaribari Chache. An innocent errand that took away her innocence. The minor would later painfully report to her mother how the man of God defiled her several times before giving her 5 bob as a token right within the church precincts to buy her silence.
Alipomchukia Jai, mimi ni ndani mtoto atrudi akiwa sawa. Mtoto akakuja akaniambia, mami, pastor amenifanyia kitendo mbaya. Nikamwambia sasa tuende kwake. Tukateremka, tukafika kwa huyo pastor. Nikamuuliza huyo pastor, nini ulifanyia mtoto wangu? Akaniambia sichamfanyia kitu.
The mother who went ahead to seek medical attention from Keumbu Hospital to ascertain whether or not the minor was defiled.
Mtoto alipimwa na daktari huko Keumbu. Wakaangalia wakasema ya kwamba alifanya mtoto akustia na jazz. So tukarudi tu Kiogoro.
Citizen TV visited the church. There was complete dead silence. Angry residents in protest suspended all worship services until the pastor is arrested.
Tumekasirika na tumekemea hii kitendo kabisa. Tuombee ili jambo lisifanyike tena katika hii sehemu ya Amariba. Hii ni mbaya sana.
Hatutaki kuona kitendo kama hii. Kama huyu pastor yenyewe alifanyia huyu mtoto na mtoto ni mdogo kama sisi wa mama. Tunasema huyu pastor ashikwe na awekwe ndani.
Ya ile uchungu wa watu ambao wa kitongoji hiki eneo hii waliwafukuza wale wa shirika ambao walikuwa hapa, wakawaambia kwamba wataki kupatikana mahali, wakafukuza watu wakaenda.
A multi-agency team has since been formed to track the rogue pastor who has since blocked all his lines in what officers investigating the matter believe are efforts to evade the police dragnet.
Well, it is an incident which has literally arced the entire village here, and now they are saying that they will never go back to the said worship center until the suspect is brought to book in a bid for justice to be served to the minor. Crispin Otieno for Citizen TV, Nyaribari Chache, Kisii County.
Now, Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has called for closer collaboration between intelligence and security services in the larger Eastern Africa region to thwart transnational and cross-border threats such as terrorism, trafficking in narcotics and human trafficking. Addressing security and intelligence chiefs from 14 Eastern African regions as he closed the inaugural Mashariki Cooperation Conference in Mombasa, Kindiki said no country in the region was immune to modern-day security threats, but closer coordination will help secure the region and boost trade and economic development.
This forum provides an opportunity for us in this region and hopefully in Africa to have the chance to engage and try and solve the problems that we have in a more relaxing atmosphere that is friendly and collegial.
The threat posed by cyber criminals, the threat posed by climate change, and the threat posed by corruption must join the other existential threats to our national security: terrorism, transnational crime, trade in narcotics, trafficking in persons, etc., going forward.
All right, on that note, let's take a quick break here on Monday Report. When we come back, we'll have a conversation on where the learners, there's a panelist who will be here with us. We know 131,854 are yet to report to high school. Why is the question you're asking. Time for some business news now. The Institute of Public Finance, that's IPF, has expressed concerns over Kenya's ability to meet its debt obligation in the event of unforeseen global economic shocks. Now, IPF says Kenya has breached all debt sustainability analysis indicators, putting it at a high risk of debt distress, even as it notes that the country's debt has not yet become a crisis, but could easily turn if the government does not address its expenditure priorities to mitigate against unforeseen shocks. Jimmy Mbogo with the details.
The Institute of Public Finance has painted a rosy outlook for the year, with the GDP growing to 5% thanks to an improved performance in agriculture and service sectors. But the think tank has warned that the country could be slowly sliding into default territory, having raised concerns over the current debt-to-GDP ratio. IPF says the government may fail to achieve the intended ratio of 55% by 2027 from the present value of over 70% due to a slowdown in revenue collection. Kenya's debt interest has also doubled to 28% compared to 14% in 2013-14 financial year, further shrinking the country's fiscal space.
We have breached external debt surface to export ratio, our debt surface to revenue ratio, our external debt surface to revenue ratio. Like, we have breached all those indicators. And what that means is that if we are hit by an adverse shock as an economy, then we are at high risk of defaulting on our international obligations.
With revenue inflows yet to fully recover to pre-pandemic period, experts warn that fiscal consolidation is no longer an option for both levels of government, insisting that debt-funded growth cannot be sustained in the long term.
We don't have a revenue problem. We have an expenditure problem. So if you see we have not met our tax targets, it's because also our forecasting model is still not light. We are very ambitious. So when we set our target for revenue, we set it very high.
We are not likely to achieve much of the development expenditure targets if things remain the way they are. And surprisingly, our revenue underperformance is coming at a time where we have introduced a new tax policy and other administrative reforms.
IPF has asked the government to address challenges faced by the manufacturing sector, such as the cost of production and operating environment, for both job creation and export improvement, without which the institute remains bearish that the FX pressures experienced in the country will persist in 2024, if not worsen. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, REREC, has partnered with the Uasin Gishu County government to ensure sustainable access to electricity up to the grassroots level. The plan will see over 3,000 households connected to electricity. Speaking during the commissioning of the electricity project at Kaptik village in Uasin Gishu County, the corporation CEO Rose Mkalama further revealed that they had signed an MOU with the county government to catalyze electrification projects in the area through the matching fund.
The fund itself is managed through the counties and also through members of parliament. So it is also available for members of parliament. So far we have been able to collect almost 2.5 billion shillings across the country from both members of parliament and counties, and we have been able to do very many projects, and this way we have been able to reach more.
For the pilot process phase of March 2024, we are prioritizing non-operational projects like milk coolers, potato cold stores, grain stores, and fish cold stores in the initial phase. Subsequent phases will be targeting our unconnected rural homes.
Well, the government has launched the National Skills Inventory and Employment Data Collection Drive geared towards mapping all available skills within the country to support the skills migration agenda. Now, all unemployed persons are now required to register their skills data on the platform. Employers, both public and private, have been directed to submit their job orders and job opportunities and also submit their annual employment returns to the National Employment Authority by the 29th of next month.
The rollout of the National Skills Inventory will play a critical role in enhancing the job placement of unemployed youth. This initiative demonstrates the government's commitment to enhancing youth employment and is well aligned to the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya, which affirms the right of the youth to access employment.
Now, a quick look now at the rest of the stories that made headlines in the business scene.
The county government of Bungoma has signed a contract with EIDU to roll out a digital learning program targeting youth in the county. The initiative will see deployment of the tech-enabled learning solution in Bungoma's 36 early childhood development and education centers. Over 230,000 learners from 7 counties across the country are already using the program.
Digital literacy has to start at the early age, and using a digital platform will definitely even excite the learners, will also reduce the workload for the teachers.
It was about 99% of the parents who responded said they want digital, and this is in one county, said that they want digital learning to continue.
Kenyan forex traders are calling on the Capital Markets Authority to tighten the noose on forex trading scammers amid rising cases of fraud. Speaking during the official launch of FX Champions Nairobi CBD training facility, CEO David Manzi said a comprehensive investor education program is key to protect the sector.
Forex is in Kenya is new, and it's CMA regulated. So we must go in alignment with the rules that CMA has put across, because it's one of the biggest, riskiest market ever.
Elsewhere, Old Mutual Limited has announced the sale of its full stake in UAP Insurance Tanzania, its short-term insurance business, to a group within its current minority shareholding, pending regulatory approval. The decision follows a thorough strategic review of the businesses relative to the immediate to long-term objectives of the broader Old Mutual Group. Finally, Africa is steeped on 4 sectors that can benefit from AI. The platforms are set to offer opportunities for the continent in areas such as healthcare, education, financial inclusion, and agriculture. During a media workshop on the potential of AI in the African context, organized by Microsoft for journalists from across Africa, AI experts emphasized the importance of AI in transforming the 4 critical sectors. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
Now, bananas are one of the major meals in Kenyan homesteads, especially those in the western part of the country. While most farmers are growing the crop for consumption and sale, a young entrepreneur in Bungoma is now making the most out of banana stems as she turns them into carrier bags in a bid to end the scourge of single-use plastic bags. As Edward Trevor tells us, Rose Sikulu's innovation was inspired by the need to provide an alternative to deforestation for paper.
Made in Kenya, brought to you by Equity. Receive payments for your business conveniently through the One Equity Till number. Get one for free today at any Equity branch or call 0763 000 000. No sign-up fee, no commissions charged. Payments go directly to your account. Endeleza your biashara with One Equity Till number.
Growing up near the defunct pan paper industry in Webuye, Rose Sikulu saw how trees were felled to feed the paper maker. She decided to study industrial chemistry with the aim of coming up with an alternative to paper made from trees. In 2017, Rose founded Fibertex, a venture turning banana waste into packaging paper.
I had the first-hand experience to deforestation, and this gave me a challenge, like to come up with the solution which could at least end deforestation. I did industrial chemistry, and that's how I learned that banana fibers can produce the papers instead of cutting down the trees.
Rose relies on farmers in the area for the supply of the much-needed raw materials. She says since the establishment of Fibertex, she has encouraged more farmers to grow bananas to ensure steady supply.
We do get the banana pseudostems. Normally the farmers do bring them. If they are fresh, we do also check the height. We do extract the fibers from the pseudostems. We do boil them for some time. We wash them, then we blend them. Once we have our pulp, we do scoop them using our nets. Then we dry them on the sun. We leave them for some 6 hours. We do have our paper ready. We do cut them and also fold them according to the customer's wants, depending on the size. We do brand them depending on the customer need.
Beatrice Nanjala has been supplying the banana stems for the last 2 years.
Si kujua iko na faida. Lakini vile msichana wangu alikuja hapa akachenga hii, akaniambia hii inaweza kufaitika na sisi. Sasa hiyo vitu nikigusa kama 10 napata 500. Hiyo ninaipangi, hata nimenuamo mbuzi, nguruwe, hata kani ukiuza ndisi yenyewe, hiyo mkomba tena unaiuza. Sasa iko na faida mara mbili.
When the bags are ready, Rose sells them to businesses within Bungoma County and beyond. So far, she has employed 7 people and keeps training many more to learn the skill.
We do target the cosmetics, beauty shops and restaurants who are environmentally conscious. The A4 bag size, it goes for 80 shillings and the branded one is 100 shillings. So for the A5 bag, it goes for 150 for the branded and 120 for non-branded. This company has helped us as workers. It has created employment for us. We were hanging and for now we are employed. This work is not meant for only men. Us as young lady, we also do it.
Vile Kenya ilikuja ikabadilisha hii bags. Hii kampuni ilikuja ikakusaidia kwa hizi bags tukatumia, nafungia wateja wangu wanafurahia kwa kubeba manguo.
Rose sells the bags on social media platforms and leverages networking programs and exhibitions to reach more customers. With the Kenya Bureau of Standards and the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute certifying the products, reception has been good.
With all the tests and certification we've done with KEBS and KIRDI, people have accepted. The major challenge has been acquiring the machines. So most of the process here is mechanical. So it means that it's going to take a lot of time to produce the paper.
Despite this, Rose prides herself in not only creating employment for the locals, but also providing an environmentally friendly alternative.
What inspires me is, seeing farmers like earning an extra income and that income doing something to them. We see ourselves being the leader of sustainable packaging, at the same time leading in environmental protection.
Edward Chea, Made in Kenya, Citizen TV.
Made in Kenya. Brought to you by Equity.